So let's look at two of those steps, right? Real-time data and insights. If you remember the example of the shipper in a cooling market, after a certain point, they need to go to the spot market to find cost savings. That's great, but there's a lot of manual effort to do that. Phone calls, emails, waiting for a response, being updated on the market, what a good market rate is. This requires lots of extra labor and time. So what I recommend to shippers is to try and blend a bit of the old and the new by having real-time market rates readily available to be booked. You've probably heard of solutions like this dynamic spot pricing. It's something we pioneered, and now we're seeing many providers enable this kind of functionality within the TMS. With this setup, you'll still have access to your spot bids, but you can streamline the entire process. If you take it a step further, you can start to set up an alert system that notifies you of potential savings. That's the kind of the analysis and insights portion of what we talked about. We're seeing partners like E2Open giving shippers access to these smart alert systems that automatically compare static and dynamic rates. That way, rather than the transportation team going to the market for the best rate is being brought to them.
I do have a question, Dan. Earlier you mentioned automation, and I know from working closely with you for a long time that automation is, near and dear to your heart. As you're talking through this, I have to imagine the auditing process there to ensure that those rates are reflective of current market conditions in real time is a pretty heavy lift, right? It feels pretty complex. So can you talk to us a little bit about how Loadsmart has set out to solve for that potential roadblock?
Yeah, I mean, the tech is certainly complicated, but the theory is pretty simple. You work with an experienced partner like Loadsmart to support this technology. You'll find that these integrations have no cost, are easy to set up, and give you access to more capacity and technology. So with automation, what we're doing is simply removing the mundane tasks that your team used to have to complete and replacing them with smart rules that are easily configurable. For example, your standard routing guide is typically set up like a waterfall. With automation, you're adding on rules that guide the actual tender decisions, so shippers aren't looking for the rates or making the routing decisions. For example, what we're showing you here, right? Carrier A and B are at 740 and 749 respectively. When you get to carrier C, you're at 780. Loadsmart's able to insert a live market rate at $762, which is a live market, instantly bookable rate, reducing the time spent in the routing guide. So shippers can spend more time doing value-added activities. The most common usage of this is in an inflationary market. Tender rejections are going up, and there's a lot of time spent cycling through the routing guide. In a deflationary market, what we're seeing right now for the use of the dynamic routing guide is to unlock savings. So, for example, shippers can set up a co-primary environment where once their primary carrier is fulfilled with their weekly volume, an API call can be made to collect real-time, more affordable market rates. Alternatively, shippers can set it up so that an API call is made on every shipment, regardless of primary acceptance or not, so that they're always getting the best rate and diluting their overall costs down. Integrations, dynamic pricing, these are all table stakes now. Any provider worth their salt should and could be doing this. So while we were first, what I think is more important is that we were right, demonstrated by everyone who is following our lead. And we believe we have it right again when it comes to our dynamic contract models. So far, we've talked about adding dynamism in your spot board and within your routing guide. Now let's talk about how adding dynamic pricing to your actual contracts works. Now, this isn't for all your lanes, but for the most volatile lanes and the ones with most uncertainty, it makes sense to have a contract that actually adjusts up and down with the market. This is one of the newest things to hit the market, and just like dynamic pricing, we're pioneering this solution for our shippers. Dynamic contracts aren't necessarily new, but the tech is adding new layers to make it a better fit for shippers. What's uniquely different about these contracts is that they're designed to incentivize good behavior. Cost plus models are designed to incentivize just taking the freight and moving the freight, not necessarily saving money. Our solution, Reliable Contracts, addresses a lot of these challenges. In fact, I endearingly refer to it as the anti-cost plus model. So let's get into the actuals, right? How does this actually work? Reliable Contracts is a floating rate structure built on three core principles: 100% tender acceptance at all times, regardless of market conditions; complete rate transparency. Shippers see what we pay the underlying carrier on every shipment; and then driving right behaviors and incentives. So what does this really mean? We only make money when our shippers save money. It is almost a revenue share kind of model where for every $100 beneath the ceiling that we buy, we take a 25% margin and pass the rest of the savings on to the shipper. And there's two other additional things I would add that are really drive the value in this product. So number one is the automation. So we've heard from shippers that doing this manually is very cumbersome, decreases a lot of the value inherent in the product. So what we've done is work with our large TMS partners, Oracle, Blue Yonder, E2Open, to fully automate this flow, right? So there's no manual intervention by a shipper or a carrier. And the other thing I think is really important is, again, this comes from the voice of customers, service modifiers. So we're able to add a dimension to this that can either reward or penalize Loadsmart based on how we perform, right? So if we're delivering at 100% on-time delivery, we're rewarded with more margin. As we go the other way, less so. And that can be any KPI that shippers have: on-time pick, on-time delivery, communication, whatever it might be. And so what this overall structure does is it removes uncertainty. Shippers can be certain that they will have 100% tender acceptance. They can be certain that we're purchasing well against the market, and they can be certain that we're motivated to provide cost savings and service when they add in that modifier.